If you're a realtor and you want to figure out how to use Facebook to get unlimited leads on demand, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to do this step by step so that you can do it yourself. And after running hundreds of ads myself, hundreds of different offers, hundreds of hooks and angles, I'm going to show you the secret on how to optimize it, what to run, and also what not to do. And stay till the end because I'm going to drop some really big secrets on how to avoid the biggest pain points that took me years to learn. So let's get started. Over here, I'm using my demo account, but to get started, go to adsmanager.facebook.com and log into your Facebook account. Now, this video is not going to show you how to do that because there's tons of tutorials. I even made a video myself, so just subscribe to my channel, look for it. This video is going to show you how to run ads so that you can get leads that you can then qualify and turn into GCI for yourself. So this is really powerful because if you know how to do this properly, and I'm not going to lie, it's not easy to do, but after some experience and after doing this for a while, there is a way that you can actually find the right offer, the right hook, the right angle, and get yourself a system where you pull on a lever, you input X amount of dollars in, and you get Y amount of deals out. It takes work. Follow my channel. I'm going to teach you everything step by step. And this video, I'm going to show you how to do it through Facebook, the first step, which is getting the leads. So over here on campaigns, go to create, go to leads, and go to continue. Now it's going to ask you if you want recommended settings or manual. I always go manual because I just haven't found better results through recommended settings. Recommended settings is going to allow Facebook to basically do whatever it wants, and a lot of times I find it's not optimized. So I do manual for more control. And the number one thing you want to do if you're in real estate is declare the category. So you have to declare the housing category. If you're in mortgages, you can do financial, but housing's fine. And this is not ideal, but it's something we have to work around, and I figured out some nice solutions to work around it. So when you select a housing category, if you don't select it, your ad's going to get banned. If you do select it, your ad's going to have limited targeting, but that's okay. I'm going to show you some tricks to get around that. So the first thing you do is name your campaign. This is really important because when you first get started, you're not going to have that many campaigns, but if you're like me and you have a bunch of clients or you just have a lot of leads you're getting for yourself with a bunch of different offers, you want to be able to distinguish what is the offer. And that's how I usually name my campaigns, is the offer, right? So I'm going to name this, free first time buyers guide. And then I'm going to put the date. So today's February 4th. And that way it'll help me stay organized. So now we scroll down and under campaign details, auction leads, that's good. You can set Advantage campaign budget, but I'm not going to. I'm going to show you a different way because Advantage campaign budget is going to, as it says here, distribute your budget across ad sets. And I mean, this is fine if you have a massive budget and you're doing things like e-commerce and you trust the algorithm, but when you're doing local service ads like real estate, then it doesn't really make sense. You want to have more control. So I set the budget through the ad set, not the campaign. And I'll explain why later. So let's go to next. So now that we have the campaign level set up, now we have the ad set that we're going to set up and then the ads that we're going to set up. So you have different options here. You can funnel people to an instant form, which is Facebook's in-app form. And I'm going to show you how to use instant form in this tutorial because I found you get more lead volume, right? You might not get as good lead quality as if you funnel them through an external website, because the more friction you add, the better quality your leads will get, but the more expensive they will get. So if you're just starting, you don't want to have to learn how to create a landing page because that's a completely different skill set. Just use instant forms to get started. It works great. So we're going to use instant forms, right? So over here, I'm going to blur this out. I'm just going to use one of my old test accounts, and you need to link your Facebook page. So this is really important. If you don't have a Facebook page, watch my other video. I'll show you how to create one, but you absolutely need to have a Facebook page to link. And for performance goal, I'm going with maximize number of leads. There's different options here. You can do other options, but this is good to get started. Maximize number of leads. Cost per result goal. So this is optional. when you're first starting, I would just leave this blank. If you are more advanced, I will create a separate video on how to use this type of targeting. So subscribe and follow if you want to see that video in the future. But leave this blank, because what this will do is, let's say you know your leads are, I don't know, $5. If you set a cost per lead goal, it does work in some cases, but it also changes the way your budgeting works. So like, let's say you wanted to spend a budget of $1,000 a month and you set cost per goal, it might not spend $1,000 per month. So it tends to be a little bit wonky in that sense. Over here under dynamic creative, this is for if you have several images or videos and you want Facebook's algorithm to just basically funnel money into the correct one. I typically have tested this in the past, and I found it's just better to test it without it on. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have 3 images you want to test, 3 different ad images. So if you want to create one ad set, you're like, hey, Facebook, you put money into the best of the 3, and I trust you, you can turn this on. The challenge is, when you look into the data, it's not consistent. It will find one that kind of picks up quickly. It'll funnel all the money into that. The challenge is, if you're trying to test it, if you want to test 3 images, you don't really know which one is the best one, because Facebook just kind of arbitrarily decides which one to put money into, right? So I keep this off because I want to test. The daily budget, so this is where you set your ad set level budget, right? So I'm going to show you how to structure, or how I would structure this. So over here, we have your campaign. So you have your one campaign, and then you have different ad sets, right? So if you're watching this video, you're very likely fairly new to Facebook ads, and you're very likely trying to figure out what works for you, right? So the way I structure it is, let's say you have a budget of $21 per day, right? Because then we could split that evenly into 3. So if your total budget is $21 per day, what I would do is I would create 3 ad sets. So you have ad set 1, you have ad set 2. Sorry for my writing, it's terrible. And then for each ad set, you're going to have image 1. If you're doing video, you can do video. So let's assume you have 1 image and 2 videos, right? Video 2. So the way that I would do this is 21 divided by 3 is 7. So I'd have $7, $7, $7. Each of these is different. And that way you can see which ad set is doing the best. So when we talk about targeting later, what I'm going to do is make it really simple for you. Just do broad targeting. So I'll explain what that is in a little bit. But you can target based on demographics, interests, or you can just kind of let the algorithm do its thing. With a special housing category, your demographic targeting is basically gone anyways. So you're left with either broad, which is letting the algorithm decide who to show it to, or you can target based on interest, right? So we've done both. And the way this works out is, if you have a winning ad, so let's say you found out video 1 is your winning ad. I'll show you how to structure it later, but if you have a winning ad, then this would be different. If you're testing like, hey, which one of these is the best, then you're going to want to keep the targeting consistent, right? If you have a winning video, I'll redraw this for you, but I'll show you what to do with that. But right now, let's assume you're trying to figure out which one of these ads is the best, and this is how I would structure it. So 1 campaign, you'd have 1 offer. And the offer is very important, right? So let's say you're finding buyers, for example. An offer is, what is the attraction that gets them to click? What is the attraction that you're offering to get their contact information? And you want to have 1 campaign, 1 offer. You don't want to split 1 campaign into several different offers. You want to test 1 offer at a time. So the biggest mistake people make is, the biggest mistake people make is thinking like, oh, like targeting is everything. That is not true. Offer is king, creative is king, right? So the offer and creative are the things you want to be testing. You don't want to be testing like, oh, what's broad versus interest if you have $21 a day. If you have a bigger budget, then yeah, you can start testing broad versus interest, but just go broad for now and start testing different offers, different images, different hooks, angles. I have a separate video on how to do that, but this will get you started. So let's jump back into Facebook ads. Now you might be wondering, well, thanks for teaching me how to set up the ads and how to target, but how do I actually create the ads? So I'm going to create specific videos on this. So if you want to see me do it step 1 to end, I will show you. But more importantly, I want to teach you how to find this out for yourself. So the best way to do it is if you go to Facebook ad library, Facebook actually has a bunch of ads that you can see for yourself. So let's say you're in the United States, you just select your country. So I'd go to United States and ad category would be housing. If you want, you can check all ads, but going housing just makes it a little bit simple. So let's say you're looking for, I don't know, like home listing, right? You can type home listing and you can actually see all of the ads that other people are running to do this. And here's the trick. You don't want to just see all the ads. You want to filter it and see all the ads that are running from a few months ago at least. Because if you look at this, let's look at November, right? And you want active ads. You don't want ads that stop running. So you can see what other people are doing and what active ads they're running. And you can actually test these for yourself. So don't just test at random. You want to start looking at people that are maybe run by an agency or at least the ad makes sense to you. So you can test out all these different kinds of ads. I will make a separate video kind of like auditing different ads to just show you how I approach it, but that is not this video. I just want to show you where you can go find inspiration and where you can test all these different ads. So rather than me going through Canva in this video, showing you step 1, how to make an image, blah, 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 like I just want to show you this is a source for inspiration. And honestly, this is what a lot of agencies do when they want to test things. Every agency has their bank of things that we know that work because we've tried thousands of ads in many cases, right? So we often keep that, and it's very hard to keep it hidden because of this. So this is actually where you can go and find what other people are doing, copy them, recreate it in Canva. If you don't have a Canva account, it's super easy to use. And this is essentially how you would go out and find the ad. If you're creating a video, I will create a separate YouTube video tutorial on how to create a YouTube/video Facebook ad. And it takes a little bit more skill, but you can get started with some of these. Some of these are videos, so you can kind of copy them. When you do copy, don't copy word for word. Innovate on it, take the idea, add your own branding to it, and that is how you would create the ad image or the video to then insert into your Facebook ad. So let's go back and show you how to set the rest up. And the way that I typically budget is you should know approximately how much a lead could cost. And you want to target your budget around the cost per lead, right? You can go less. It's not the end of the world. Like a lot of gurus are like, oh, never set your budget to less than a lead cost. It's not really true, but I do find the best results are when you set your daily budget approximately the cost of a lead. So you should know that, right? So a buyer lead for $7, that's fine. You can set it higher than the cost per lead as well. So I think that's fine for a buyer lead. You can probably get it for less, but again, it depends on how much friction you add. So we'll go over that in a bit. So yeah, budget scheduling, you can schedule. I would just leave that blank for now. And start date, I would start it for the next day, just because for whatever reason, I just find better results when you start it in the morning. So let's do like 8:40 a.m. Start it typically in the morning, right? So I'm gonna leave budget scheduling blank, and this is where you target what we talked about, broad audience, right? So over here, you have your location. Obviously, you don't want to target an entire country. So if you're in real estate and you're doing buyer leads, it's very important you target the area that you can actually drive to, that you're willing to drive to. So one thing I see realtors make is like, oh, I'll drive anywhere, but it's a really bad idea because then you're not even an expert in that area. You lose their trust and you end up driving around to areas that you don't even know like anything about. So what I would do is, like, let's say you're in Calgary, for example. I'm in Canada, right? So, oops, oh, not Calgary Flames. say you're in Calgary. You can target Calgary. So one of the limitations of the housing category is you can only target minimum 15-mile radius, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but that's one of the limitations we have to work with. So to get around that, I promised I would give you some tips. You, in your actual ad, should call out the area that you want to target. So if, for example, you're targeting Calgary homeowners and you want to help people buy homes in Calgary, there's a massive population in Calgary, so you can target Calgary, but you can also set up another ad set where you target people outside of Calgary that want to move to Calgary. So for example, a lot of people in Toronto, where home prices are just astronomical for what you get, a lot of people are thinking about options to moving other places. So you can change your targeting to Toronto and have a separate ad set for Toronto, but just make sure that you structure the ad to make it clear, like, hey, this is for people trying to move into Calgary, right? You don't want to get the message confused. And also in the back end, you have a system to understand who is actually moving to Calgary versus who is actually in Calgary, right? So I'll show you how to do that. But this is one example. We're targeting Calgary. If you want to increase the mile radius, you can. So obviously you don't want to just sell to people in Calgary, like other people outside of Calgary want to move into Calgary. So that is something you can do as well. So if you don't want to target by city, you can drop a pin, but this is essentially how you target. Make sure you get the location right. This is super important. I see people miss this all the time and they end up targeting the entire country, which is not ideal, right? There is a strategy to target people moving into the city, but that strategy is not targeting the entire country. That strategy is finding the cities that make the most sense, calling out the cities. Hey, people in Toronto trying to move to Calgary, this message is for you, right? So that's how you would do it. But for simplicity's sake, let's just target Calgary. So age you can't change because again it's special housing category. Gender you cannot change. Detail targeting, this is where I talked about interest targeting. So if you are optimizing an ad and you already know what ad win, like you already know what image or video is winning and you're just trying to optimize more, then you can test broad. So broad is leaving this blank and detailed is going in here. And let's say first-time home buyers as an example. You can target people that are potentially first-time home buyers and you're trusting Facebook's algorithm to figure that out for you, right? So I know in theory, like, oh yeah, like why wouldn't you target? In theory, you're right. Targeting sounds like a great idea. But in practice, what ends up happening is sometimes you might get better results with targeting at the early stages and then it kind of levels off and then broad takes over. So like the reason I'm not going to focus too much on targeting, and I'm going to make a separate video on that so you can follow my channel if you want to learn about targeting. The reason I'm leaving this blank is because too many people get stuck on the targeting and too many people believe that, oh, if I get the targeting right, all of a sudden my business blows up. No, that's not the case. If you get the offer and the call out and the headline and the image or video right, that's what makes 90% of your results, right? So don't hire a media buyer that just figures out targeting because they're not really adding that much value. So that's why leave this blank for now. Really focus on testing the offers, the images, the headlines. That's where all of your value pretty much is going to come from. Languages, you can write English or all languages. If you are specific, like I have some clients that are focused on the Hispanic community in the US, for example, and will change the language, but this will be dependent on you. So placements, this is debatable, but what I found after doing this for many, many years is it's fine to do Advantage Plus placements. But what I found was if you're doing an image ad, I always turn off audience network. This has never gotten me better results. So I always turn this off every single time. And for Facebook, Instagram, what I do is if I'm doing an image ads, I will just do feeds. So I'll turn off all of these. And then I'll just do the feeds. So I wouldn't do video feeds, obviously, if it's image. And I turn off the Explore and the Business Explorer. So it's pretty much just the feeds. If I'm doing video, I do find that Advantage Plus is okay, but always turn off audience network for every single case, right? So if I'm doing videos, I typically just do stories, reels, but sometimes I'll play around with just everything. And I find like depending on the ad, it's pretty similar. So in summary, just turn off audience network for images, feeds, for videos, stories, reels. But sometimes you can just use broad for videos and it's okay, but always turn off audience network. I just haven't seen that perform better. So let's go on to the next. So yeah, for this case, let's pretend we're doing like, I'm gonna do a video, so I'm not gonna turn on. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a video, so I'm gonna do stories and reels. I'm gonna go next. Oh, sorry. Before we go next, make sure you name this. So the ad set is based on targeting, right? So we're gonna go stories and reels, and we're doing Calgary, and we're going broad, right? So you want to know what your targeting was, so that if you need to test different things, you're like, you just look at it and be like, oh, okay, this is Calgary. I understand what's going on, right? This is where the magic happens. This is the ad. So in the ad name, you want to write out exactly what it is. So video, free consultation, and then like whatever information you have that would remind you like, oh, this is for this ad. So this is the actual offer on the ad. You could call it like video one or whatever you want. So make sure your Instagram account is connected here. So yeah, over here, like I'm using a demo account, so I don't have one, but make sure you connect your account. It's very simple. You just click on connect account, you log in and connect your Instagram account. So what that does is it will allow you to run the ads to Facebook and Instagram, which is always nice because then the algorithm will decide like, oh, okay, I think Facebook is getting more traction, so I'm going to move more of the budget to Facebook versus Instagram, right? So ignore this. This is a demo account. But yeah, if you see this, make sure you authenticate your account so it doesn't get removed. So over here, we have a video. In a separate video, I'm going to show you how to do carousel ads and all this stuff. But in this video, I'm just going to focus on the video ads because in 2025, we are in a trust recession. And what I find is although image ads will get you cheaper cost per lead, video ads do have a slightly better conversion. So I've been leaning personally into video ads and especially YouTube ads. So if you want to see my other video, we've actually really leaned hard into YouTube ads because I just seen a lot more potential in video, even though it does technically have a higher cost per lead on average, right? And the reason for that is because if someone actually takes the time to watch a video instead of clicking like on instinct on an image, like, oh, that looks cool, let me see what it's about. Whereas video, you're like, it's really hard to get their attention and get them to watch the whole video. So if someone's actually watched the video, then there's more friction. So again, friction is key to getting better quality leads, but again, it also costs more money. So I find video ads work better. Multi-advertiser ads, honestly, I haven't really seen much difference leaving this on or off, so it's not super important. So you could leave it on or off, doesn't really matter. And you want to set up your creative. So over here, I'm going to video ad. And okay, this is very glitchy. I just want to warn you. Sometimes you fill this out and it doesn't save, so try to fill it out as much as possible. I'm actually just going to write this off the top of my head and kind of walk you through it. So the most important thing is the headline, because when you look at an ad, the first thing you see is the headline, and you might see kind of like the image or the video like picture, but the headline is super important. So when you're testing things, you want to be testing different creatives and headlines, and that's again like 80% of your results right there. So the headline is super important. That's the offer. So the offer could be, get your free home buyer's guide, right? If that's your offer. And the primary text, this is also very important because this will typically show up the first line of the primary text. Everything after, most people don't read. If they do read it, great. You should write it. It should make a lot of sense, and you should focus on writing good copy. But the first sentence is absolutely critical, right? So we've tested different things like emojis. It sounds ridiculous because it kind of is, but emojis still work to grab people's attention because for whatever reason it works, right? So we typically put an emoji like save tens of thousands on your Calgary home with these tips. And then you'd write some more copy, right? So I'm gonna make a separate video on how to write good copy. The purpose of this video is to really get you up and started, but you basically like dig into their pain points. You want to provide a solution, and typically I'd have it in like bullet points, like blah blah blah, and then you want to have a call to action. Click learn more below to get your free guide today. Right, so this is kind of just a basic structure. There's so many different ways you can approach it. You can tell a story, but I'm going to create a whole separate video because this is going to take way too long to write. It's like teach you how to write copy, but this is just kind of a structure you can go with. Description, honestly, it doesn't matter that much. Like no one sees this usually. So get your free guide. Call to action. I don't know why. Learn more. That just tests the best. So we tested so many different things. Like even if it's download your free guide, you would think download now makes sense, but we found learn more does better. So that's the text. Now you add the media. So basically you just upload it. So I just did it off screen because I have a bunch of files, but you can just upload a video. Click on next. Okay. Click on next. So, I don't have this for this video, but you should have two versions. You should have a widescreen one and then also a 9:16 one. So make sure you have two different versions because you don't want something like this to show up. It's not going to be clicked. People are going to be like, this looks ridiculous. So you want to have a 9:16 version. So it's pretty easy. Like you can just ask your video editor if you have one, or if you're using Canva and you're kind of on a budget, you can just resize it. The paid version of Canva does have that feature, but make sure you do have different options where you have a widescreen one and also a 9:16 one, right? So I'm not going to do that because this is just an instruction video. Enhancements doesn't make a huge difference. I just leave it on and I go to done. So I want to warn you because I don't have the 9:16. It looks ridiculous. And if for some reason you don't have it, don't run it. So like you need to have the right sizes. So this is not a good practice. I just want to show you how to make this ad. So okay, so see what I mean by like this super glitchy? This is what happens all the time. You took the time to write everything and it didn't show up. So what you should do is actually, if you're taking the time to write it and you don't have it on a document, I usually have it on a document and I paste it. But this happens all the time where you write it and it disappears. So you have to rewrite it here, whatever we wrote there. So we had like download your free guide. And you can have an emoji too. Sometimes it works a little bit better. Again, these mini optimizations, like don't worry too much. Like, oh, do I need an emoji? Like the main thing is the headline. Like what does it say? And what does your image or your video do? Like that's the main thing, right? Primary text, that's what we had. So what I mean by that is like the first sentence just shows up. Everything else kind of disappears unless they click it. So yeah, I'm just going to do that. So can't remember what I said, to be honest, but like save tens of thousands on your Calgary home with these tips, and then write it out. Call to action, we do want to do learn more just because we tested it and it does better. And all right, this is where you create a form. So a form is very important, and this is a tool for you. So if you're just starting out and you don't know what to put, I'm going to give you a starting point. But if you get stuck where you get a bunch of leads for really cheap, you're patting yourself on the back, but the leads are terrible, you want to add more friction, meaning add more questions. If you have the opposite problem, you add a ton of questions because you want like the best lead in the world and you don't understand like that's not how cold lead works, and you're coming to realization like, oh, I need volume and I need to do the work on the back end, call them quickly, follow up with them. Like that's the only way to make this work, right? I have a whole separate video on what it takes to close a lead. That's super important. You should watch that. It's in my channel. But here's how to create the form. It's a tool to add or remove friction to gather information. Think of it like that. So go to continue. You want to name the form. So this could be like, buyer's guide form or whatever your offer is. It should match your offer, right? So this is really important. you can use higher intent, more volume. I usually just go with more volume. The higher intent, it will add a review step that gives people a chance to confirm their information. So theoretically, it would help, but I haven't seen it help that much, to be honest. There's different ways to do this, and I'm going to teach you some of those ways now. So we're going to name it. This is very important. If you're offering a buyer's guide, the headline has to match your guide. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they get lazy. They create one form, they have like 5 different offers, and they're all leading to this generic form. You should create a separate form for each offer because there has to be congruency when they click on your ad to filling out the form. They want to know like, okay, this is for this, right? So get your buyer's guide. Just a few quick questions. And again, like if we're offering a buyer's guide, then they want to see like, hey, this is for my buyer's guide. Okay, awesome. I'm going to continue. So next. Okay, this is where the secret sauce is. There's going to be default email, full name, and you can add a phone number here. So if I go contact fields phone number, it will add it. The challenge is a lot of people signed up with a phone number for Facebook like 10, 15 years ago, and they changed their phone number and it will auto-populate, right? So here's an example of what I mean by friction. If I add a question and I force them to fill in their phone number, what is the best number to text your guide to, right? So what this question does is it will require them to enter their phone number. So I'm going to delete this. And more importantly, it tells them, oh, we're going to text you the guide. And that is a prompt for the lead to then be like, oh, shoot, okay, I have to, like, that's the trade, right? Like, I have to give them my phone number to get the guide because they're going to text it to me. So also, this has to be a textable number. So they now have to manually write in their phone number. So this is an example of increasing lead quality, but adding friction, because not everyone's going to want to do this. But the more people that actually want the thing that you're offering, your offer, will typically want to do this. So this comes with its own challenges because if they enter something, they might enter it like with weird spaces and brackets and dashes and all that stuff. So when you plug it into your CRM, it's not always perfect. But we found this to be a good friction adding question, right? You might also want to add other questions. So to increase lead quality, you want to increase the number of questions because the more things like mini hoops they have to go through in your funnel, then the more serious they are and the better quality your leads are, right? So again, this does increase cost. So you can ask multiple questions, like multiple choice questions. You can ask short answers. Multiple choice questions are great. It gets you information. So if you want to increase the quality of your leads, just ask more questions, whether it's multiple choice or short answers. So what we found after doing hundreds of forms is multiple choice is great for getting information. Short answers are great for adding more friction to increase the quality. So we always recommend at least one short answer question, whether it's a phone number or whether it's another question, because there's a very big difference between people clicking on their phone like yes, 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 versus actually having to type something. So if quality is your issue, then add a short answer question. If quantity is your issue, and you have an amazing backend where you're calling leads right away, you're following up with them, and you just need a high volume, then you should reduce friction. So again, it's a balancing act. So here's some questions that you can ask for a short answer. I'll give you an example. It could be like, what area are you looking to move to, right? Because that's really important for you to know. Here's some examples of a multiple choice question. So, are you already pre-approved for a mortgage? And you put yes, no. And it's important because if they're not approved for a mortgage, then you can change the conversation around that. You could send them to your loan officer, mortgage agent, lender, or your trusted partner, right? So these are things that you're probably going to want to know ahead of time. But if you just want to go pure volume and you have an inside sales agent like we do, that asks these questions anyways, then you're probably going to get better results by going for pure volume, right? So if you're by yourself and you have limited time, you don't want to deal with a bunch of people that are just basically clicked on their phone while in bed on their phone, then ask more questions, but your lead cost will go up, right? So I'm going to use these questions. Oops. What happened there? Oh, right. So you do have a message. This message is stupid. No one reads it. So just write whatever. Let us know a bit about you, right? So go to next. Okay, you have to have a privacy policy. So I just put privacy policy, and you can go get it from your website. And if I'm being really honest, you can probably grab it from your brokerage's website or any website, because all they want to see is a privacy policy. So if I go to my website and I go to privacy policy, I would just paste this or copy this, and I would paste it here, and now you have your privacy policy. So go to next. Okay, so this is really important. Don't leave this thanks, you're all set, because now they're like, all right, everything's good. So you always want to talk about next steps. So you can say like, thanks, we're texting your free guide to you now. And then in the description, check your phone. We're also sending you bonus X, right? And usually X equals free consultation, because the point of you spending your hard-earned cash and doing all this work is not to give people a free guide. The purpose of this is to build enough trust that they want to jump on a phone call with you, or offer enough value that they want to jump on a phone consultation with you, right? So the next step should be a link to your booking page. So typically we have a landing page, and the landing page will have a link to the calendar. If you want to go next level, like include testimonials, include a video of you explaining the value of the call. So all of these things will help you get to the next step, because you don't want just a bunch of phone numbers. You want a bunch of phone numbers from people that actually want to talk to you. So you want to include a link to your calendar. I'll show you an example. So we have a landing page like this. This is for our agency, obviously, but not for realtors. But it's got a bunch of testimonials. These are video testimonials, which are always great. So you have video testimonials, use them. So like if you click on it,
how many of the
who got like 5 deals from us in just a few months, and you know, it's got like a bunch of testimonials from our Google Maps. It's got like calendars we filled. So like it's just got some basic stuff. It doesn't have to be pretty, and then they can book a call with us, right? So you should have something like this. If you don't, just link your Calendly, like that works fine too. So make sure you link it. So what I would do is I would link this page, and then the call to action is click for your bonus. I wouldn't call it that, like click for whatever your bonus is, right? I'm just showing you how to do this. So there's an option where you can connect with leads in Messenger. This is another option that you can do. So if you want leads that you just talk to inside Facebook, you can do that. We don't do that typically. What we do is we connect them into our CRM, which has a lot more features and capabilities. But if you're just getting started and you don't have a CRM, then yes, you can do that. And yes, there are ways that you can get AI to start talking to them until you pick up the conversation, but that's a whole nother thing I'll show you later in a separate video. So now we're just going to create the form, and now we're good to go. So you make sure you select the right form. Don't worry so much about tracking. Like if you're tracking towards a landing page, it is important, but if you're just using a Facebook lead form, it's not super important. Now we go to publish, and I'm going to publish this just to show you. Okay, it's saying I have to authenticate my account, which is fine because it's a demo account. But yeah, so yours will say learning or waiting for approval. It typically takes about a day. And if you did something wrong, like you didn't use the housing category, it's just going to ban your ad. If you do that too many times, your account could get banned. So make sure you get the housing category. But since I just made this to show you, I'm going to turn this off. So you're going to do this a few times. So you're going to have more than one ad. You're going to create the same thing, same targeting, everything, but different ad. And I want to show you that. So, let's assume this was ad set 1. We have video 1. And let's say we have a different video. We're going to create a separate ad set. And then we have another image. We're going to create a separate ad set. And then we're going to optimize it by looking at which one is performing. Do we want to increase the budget? Do we want to turn these things off? And then when you find your winning ad, I'm going to show you what to do. So let's say you find your winning ad, right? So then you're going to create or you're not going to create, you're going to use the same campaign. So same campaign. Okay, so you've been running your ads, you finally found the video or ad that is doing great, so now you want to optimize it. So here's what you do. You use the same campaign, right? And now you're going to split it into different options. So use the data. I will create a separate video on how to optimize ads, but I just want to show you very quickly how to structure it. So here's the simplest way to do it. You're going to figure out the targeting. So you have one ad set. So we'll call it ad set 1. We have ad set 2. And then you have, let's say, video 1. And then video 1. So same video. Right? So let's say you have the same budget, like $20 a day. So this would be $10. Right? So this would be the existing winning ad, right? So we went broad. And then now you can target by interest. Or now you can target by location. Like, let's just try a different location. Or now you can target by different placement, right? So this is how you can start testing different things, but use the data because you're going to have data around this within the platform. So like I find the most optimal thing to do is location, but you might have to change your targeting. So if you're targeting people outside of Calgary, then you might need to change your ad, which makes the variables different, right? But if you're just targeting like different suburbs and things like that, like that's pretty easy. Different placements, I haven't found the best results to be honest, and different interests, I haven't found super different results. So that's why like I typically just test new offers versus doing this. But if you're on a limited budget and you're like, yeah, I really want to scale this one ad, this is typically how you would do it. In summary, we talked about how to run an ad on Facebook ads to get leads. We talked about how to increase the quality of leads and how to optimize and structure your testing, and also how to optimize and structure your winning ad to scale. So there is way more to this. And if you want to learn the most important step of all of this is how do you actually take that lead and turn that into a deal, follow my channel and watch this next video, because that is by far the most important thing with all of this. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking, oh, if I have a good ad, then I will have all good leads. That's just not how cold leads work, right? You're going to get some poor leads, you're going to get some good ones, but more importantly is what is your sales process on the back end? How do you automate that? I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. This video is just to get you those leads to begin with, and I hope this helps. Like and subscribe if it was helpful, and if not, let me know what I can do better and comment below. Thanks. So just wrapping this up for you so that you have an endpoint of understanding how to take the hard work you did creating Facebook ads and turning that into deals. This will help you. So the ad, think of it as the showstopper, the scroll stopper, and the action taker where you turn attention into clicks, right? That's all the ad is. So you have to have a good offer and you have to have good copy, good image, good video to get their attention long enough for them to take the action, which is click on the next step, which takes them to the form. And the form is where you exchange the offer. So that could be a buyer's guide or whatever it is, a free consultation. And you get their phone number. So don't make the mistake of getting their email only. You have to have their phone number because you have to get to them right away. And people are not checking their emails, and a lot of time they go to spam. So get the phone number. If you need more high quality leads, then you have to add friction and you have to pay a bit more money. And that's the only way to do it. If you're going for volume, let's say you have a kick-ass sales team and you just want tons of volume, then you can reduce the friction by reducing the number of questions, right? So that's the form. And then you want to deliver the lead magnet right away. So I say email here, but text is actually better. So I would actually change this, but you want to send them the email or text automatically. So we're using Go High Level. I will create a video on how to do this with Go High Level. That's what we use. You can use Zapier. You can use all sorts of tools. There's plenty out there. But the point of this is you need to deliver the thing that you promised them right away and automatically if possible, because you don't want to manually be sending hundreds of these. It's a waste of your time. So you want to give them what you promised. And this is the ultimate part where most people fail. You need to convert that attention into a meeting, and then you need to convert that meeting into a deal. This is by far the most important step. This is by far the part, like the most frequently mentioned place where people fail. I've talked to thousands of real estate agents. This is where most people fail. So most people don't understand the importance of speed to lead. If you look at the MIT studies, the Harvard studies, they all say the same thing. You have to get to your leads right away. It's not like, oh, it's like 10% different. It's like 10x difference in terms of contact rate, right? If you get them to them in 5 minutes versus even just an hour, it's extremely important, because if you don't get to them, someone else will. You need to follow up with them several times. So we do a double dial and a text each attempt, and we attempt several times because that's what it takes. Again, look at all the sales data out there. It will tell you the same thing. And then we want to follow up with automations as well, because it's really hard to do it with just humans. So this is what it takes to get just the first meeting. I'm going to create training on how to do this, how to convert that first meeting into a second meeting, all that stuff. But this is the most important part. That's why our company is called Nurture. It's because we realize how important it is. So the ads gets you the opportunity to have the phone call, and that's all it is. That's how cold leads work. This is how you turn pure strangers into trusting you with the biggest investment of their life, which is the real estate deal. So I will create more videos on this part, because this is the most important part, to be honest. But getting you started with Facebook ads, that will at least give you a chance to start having conversations to get to the deals.